Could you update us on your office is working with the Coast Guard to try to address and identify cultural and institutional issues over the Coast Guard Academy that have contributed to women, minority students not feeling, cadets feeling
Right.
as comfortable as they would like? I know your office has been working on that. Could you give us
Sure.
an update?
So, there's a couple sort of efforts taking place. Number one, my office has been working with Congressman Elijah Cummings and Congressman Benny Thompson to follow up on the OIG report, and then also, frankly, some of this paper's reporting in terms of just cadet unhappiness in terms of just climate issues, which was just again verified with the report that came out in July. That showed that this problem is quantifiable and real. That's happening. So there's been about 3,000 pages of documents that has been supplied to the committees that they have been going through, and I know there's going to be definitely work being done in terms of staff involvement from those committees. And this is something that both committees, Benny has Homeland Security, which has Coast Guard under it, and Elijah has oversight. So there's going to be, again, I think, personal interviews with people taking place, and then those committees are, as I said, they're very much serious about this. When we did the National Defense Authorization Act, the other military academies were part of the personnel subcommittee, MARC, which had two provisions. Number one, the safe to report language, which would make sure that cadets and academies who were victims of harassment or assault would feel safe to report incidents, even if maybe it happened, in violation at time when you were in violation of curfew, or maybe there were some incidents of drinking or, behavior that would kind of subject yourself to disciplinary action. So the safe to report language would basically shield people from, who are reporting this kind of problem from being punished because of the nature of whatever the incidents took place. We adopted an amendment to extend the safe to report language to the Coast Guard. That was my amendment in the committee markup. The second issue was to set up a pilot program to look at outside prosecution of some incidents for, in which, whether it takes place in Annapolis or, West Point or out in Colorado. And we, again, adopted language to keep it parity so that would also apply to the Coast Guard. That one is one that none of the services agree with and support. But, the regular chain of command is just, it's not doing real well here. And again, the climate surveys and the other academies, if anything, was even more upsetting and disturbing than the one that took place here in New London. And lastly, the OIG report that came out had 4 recommendations. Again, the Coast Guard actually has confirmed that they have adopted every single one of them. Number one, they restored the personnel record of the whistleblower. They've completely changed the whole process in terms of how they handle, complaints that, they are trying to create a completely, sort of neutral process, and not having people who are reviewing files who have, some type of relationships with either side, because that OIG report identified that as a real flaw, and that they needed to update some of their standards. And I was at the first ceremony for the new cadet class, the induction that took place in July there. I was very pleased with Admiral Kelly's remarks. He was very forceful about the fact that we are going to have an inclusive and safe institution here. And he must have said it about 4 times when he was up there in the remarks. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really good, really came through strong. And but obviously, that's just the beginning in terms of trying to, create his own new footprint over there. And it's, I love that place. It's just the work that they do, and I've had a chance to witness it in terms of, seeing Coast Guard officials down in Washington and trips on Sea Power. And but all of the academies, have work to do here to really reverse, this trend, which every climate survey, unfortunately, has verified.
What's the status of the bill that would provide a safe haven and outside
So that's
prosecution?
the House NDAA. So that's going to be conferenced with the Senate NDAA.
So that's been approved by the
House, but
Okay.
not in the Senate. And as I
Seems
said,
to be a
that's
familiar theme.
right. So, but I actually think
That may have
that may have legs because
that may have
if you look at the confirmation of General Hyten, that took place there. I mean, you had Senator Ernst, Republican from Iowa, who voted no on the confirmation, and I actually think there are folks in the Republican Senate side that realize that this really should not be part of the graveyard.